That's what authorities are telling us, and we expect an arraignment in this case later on this morning at the Eastern District of New York. That's the federal courthouse in Brooklyn. This after a bust between the NYPD and their federal law enforcement partners that intercepted this plot to throw explosives here in Times Square. However, there is no current threat perceived at this hour. This morning, a suspect in the crosshairs of law enforcement after an alleged explosive plot at the crossroads of the world. A man was allegedly planning to throw explosives, possibly live grenades, at people in Times Square, according to the Daily News.
I work right in Times Square, so that's a little scary to know.
The suspect's identity hasn't been made public yet, but is reportedly under arrest after a joint terrorism task force undercover sting. It's believed the person was acting alone and not part of a larger plot, which was still in the early aspirational stages. The conspiracy centering around the iconic landmark, now the latest in a string of plots targeting Times Square.
It's surreal. When I see them every day, you see the police just standing there with their finger on the trigger. You don't know what to think every day. You never know what's going to happen at any given time.
Last year, a Canadian man was sentenced to 40 years in prison for trying to attack the Midtown Mecca and city subways. In 2016, an Uber driver from Brooklyn was arrested for planning to drive a large truck into crowds of people. In 2010, a car bombing was stopped by a street vendor who noticed smoke coming from a parked vehicle. Faisal Shahzad was sentenced to life in prison. And in 2008, a still unsolved bombing at the military recruitment station where no one was hurt continues to stump investigators.
As a pedestrian and as just someone who works in Times Square, like if I see something, obviously I always say something.
Further details about this alleged plot still have yet to be released by federal authorities. However, we expect to learn more from the criminal complaint after it's filed once the suspect is arraigned later on this morning. That's the latest live here in Times Square. I'm Anthony DiLorenzo, Pix 11 News.
Anthony, thank you.